Good evening and welcome to Iowa Central versus Iowa Lakes swim meet.
Welcome to Dodger. Whoa, I'm loud. Welcome to Dodger Pool and our dual meet tonight. Your Iowa Central Tritons versus the visiting Iowa Lakes Lakers. Our first event is the women's 200 medley relay.
In lane 4, we have Iowa Central Community College.
The first event will be a women's 200-yard medley relay consisting of one team from Iowa Central College. First up, we have Zoe Beals, and she is off. Moving along nicely there in a backstroke, just a 200, so up and down once. Good flip turn and off. Up next, Emily Andred. And Majo Diaz. In with the butterfly. Final swimmer is Mary Marshall on the freestyle. And the race is over with a final time of 1:57. The clock has not stopped.
Men's 200-yard medley relay. Mr. Official.
Next up is the men's 200-yard relay consisting of 3 teams, all from Iowa Central. In lane 3, Mariano Sosa. In lane 4, Jared Van Stein. And in lane 5, Jesse Latin.
Iowa Central. In lane 4, we have Iowa Central. In lane 5, we have Iowa Lakes Community College.
Oh, pardon me. Lane 5 is Iowa Lakes Community College, not Iowa Central. So 2 teams from Iowa Central and 1 from Iowa Lakes. Iowa Central so far holds the lead in both of their lanes. Lane 5 just barely ahead of lane 4, but both of them quite far ahead of 5. Up next in lane 3, Cameron Keck. Next in lane 4, Drew Giles. And in lane 5, we have Val Trusov. The gap between the Iowa Central swimmers and the Iowa Lakes group is only getting bigger. And lane 4 has pulled ahead of lane 3. Up next on lane 4, Dalton Hamill. And on lane 3, we have Javier Rhoda. For lane 5, Patrick Vollard. Event number 3, the women's 1,000-yard freestyle with only one contestant from Iowa Central, Eve Berg, in lane 4. This is going to be a very, very difficult race to keep up a good time on. It's just really long. I'm sure that there's swimmers watching, but for any non-swimmers, swimming up and down these pools once is quite a chore. So to do it as many times as required for a 1,000-yard freestyle is that's some insane talent. Her current seed time is almost 11 minutes.
What do you know? Eve Berg has an early lead.
Announcement just made. Eve Berg has an early lead. Definitely not sprint swimming we're seeing here. We're seeing a lot of conservation of stamina. She is going to need it. It has only begun. Good amounts of support coming in from the crowd. Five laps in, and we are 3 minutes and 33 seconds into the event. undying support coming in from the coach. If we can judge off of previous times, we are a little under the halfway mark. Time-wise. We're 5 minutes and 11 seconds in. No signs of her slowing down. A round of applause for Eve Berg. .450 yards left. Currently, she has already swam the equivalent of a 300, which, as far as I am aware, is the highest that any high school will go for a single event. And she is doubling that. That's just absolutely insane to me. No signs of slowing down. She is tireless. Making very full, efficient use of every stroke. We are now 8 minutes into the event. All of her teammates on the sideline cheering her on. 200 left to go, and we are a little over 9 minutes into the event. More enthusiasm here along the sidelines as she gets closer and closer to the end. One final round up and down the pool. Final lap.
Let's get loud. Keep coming. Hot like a fajita.
Got some new speed in these strokes now. Calling on that last reserve of energy just to get down that pool one more time to finish a 1,000-yard freestyle. That is just crazy. She nears the end. My goodness, she must be tired. And it's over at 11 minutes and 22 seconds.
Event 4 for the men's 1,000-yard freestyle in lane 2.
We have one more 1,000-yard freestyle event with men this time.
We have Jesse Latin from Iowa Lakes. In lane 4 from Brazil, we have Vicky Moles. In lane 5 from Iowa Lakes, we have Patrick Voller. In lane 6 from Spain, we have Javier Ronda.
To repeat, in lane 2 from Iowa Central, Andrew Iverson. In lane 3 from Iowa Lakes, we have Jesse Latin. Lane 4 from Iowa Central, Vinnie Malls. Lane 5, Iowa Lakes, Patrick Voller. Lane 6 from Iowa Central, Javier Ronda. And lane 7, also from Iowa Central, Zach Strom.
Time start.
And they're off. Lanes 4 and 6 leading by a very small margin. From lane 4 is Vinnie Malls, and lane 6 is Javier Ronda, both from Iowa Central. Lane 2 very shortly, very close behind him, Andrew Iverson of Iowa Central. Lane 4's Vinnie Malls has taken a further lead ahead of the rest of his teammates.
Out ahead early, we have Vicky Moles from Brazil.
Vinnie Moles' lead just keeps getting wider. An announcement just made he's actually from Brazil. Interesting information. Jesse Latin and Patrick Voller are still pulling up the rear end, both for Iowa Lakes. Patrick has pulled slightly ahead of Jesse. In first place, still Vinnie Moles. In second place, we have Javier Aranda. In third, in lane 2, we have Andrew Iverson. Fourth place, and in the fifth lane is Patrick Voller, and that leaves Jesse Latin taking up the end. No change in placement so far, with Vinnie Moles still in the lead, with Javier Aranda behind him and Andrew Iverson in third. Patrick Voller in fourth, and Jesse in fifth. Jesse Latin. Jesse seems to be catching up a little bit to his teammate Patrick Voller. Vinnie Moles in lane 4 has completely lapped Patrick Voller in lane 5 and Jesse Latin in lane 3.
Andrew Iverson outside in lane 2, trying to make a play.
In first place, still Vinny Malls. In second place, Javier Aranda. And in third place, we have Andrew Iverson, all of Iowa Central. Patrick Voller in fourth, and Jesse Latin in fifth.
Andrew has made the play. Andrew has made the play.
And the horn has blown. Vinny Malls is on his final lap.
Let's get loud for Vinny Malls as he comes home.
And so Vinny Malls finishes at 10:16. Next we have Andrew Iverson at 10:20. Javier Aranda at 10:28.
The school record holder in this event. In second place, we have Andrew Iverson. In third place, we have Javier Aranda, both from Iowa Central.
All three Iowa Central swimmers have finished. Jesse Latin finished with a time of 11:33. And that leaves Patrick Voller. And the event is finished at a time of 11:42. Regardless of placements, mad props to anyone who can swim 1,000 yards freestyle. That is an insane event that takes a ridiculous amount of stamina.
Event 5, women's 200-yard freestyle.
Next event, the women's 200-yard freestyle with Majo Diaz in lane 4, Mavi Valentine in lane 5 of Iowa Lakes, and Aubrey Holla of Iowa Central in lane 6. Majo Diaz pulling an early lead, followed by Mavi Valentine and Aubrey Holla in last. First lap for Majo done, 3 left. Mavi Valentine off on her second. And finally, Aubrey Holla on hers.
Out in the lead, we have Majo Diaz from Iowa Central.
Majo Diaz pulling a pretty decent lead over both of her competitors. One competitor, one team lead.
In second place, we have Mavi Valentine from Iowa Lakes. In third place, we have Aubrey Holla.
First place, still Majo Diaz. Second place, Mavi Valentine. And in third place, Aubrey Holla. New speed in Majo's strokes. And she is finished with a time of 2:01. Mavi Valentine also on the final stretch. And she is finished with a time of 2:17. Aubrey Holla making her final run down the pool. She is in the home stretch and finished with a time of 2:39, or 3:39, 2:39.
Men's 6, men's 200-yard freestyle. In lane 2, we have Cole Keenan from Iowa Central. In lane 3, we have Ben 10 from Iowa Lakes. In lane 4, we have Marcelo Bush from Iowa Central, coming from Brazil. In lane 5, from Iowa Lakes, we have Jacob Bonner. In lane 6, we have Tony Nar. We have Tony in lane 6 from Iowa Central. In lane 7, we have Baxter from Iowa Central.
Event number 6 is the men's 200-yard freestyle. In lane 2, Cole Keenan of Iowa Central. In lane 3, Ben Hare of Iowa Lakes. In lane 4, Iowa Central's Marcelo Bush. Lane 5, Iowa Lakes, Jacob Bonner. Lane 6 is Tony Codron, and lane 7 is Baxter Molden of both of Iowa Central. They are off, and lane number 4 is Marcelo Bush, takes an early lead, but it's not by much yet, though it is growing wider, followed in second place by lane 5's Jacob Bonner of Iowa Lakes. Third place, Cole Keenan. Fourth place, Ben Hare. In sixth, we have Tony Kudrin, and in lane 7, Baxter Molden, pulling up the
We
rear.
have Marcelo Bush from Iowa Central, Rain from Brazil.
Marcelo Bush, also from Brazil, is widening his lead.
Marcelo Bush out
second place, still Jacob Bonnert of Iowa Lakes. Ben Hare and Cole Keenan just about tied for third. Tony Kudrin and Baxter Molden bringing up fifth and sixth respectively.
Here comes Marcelo Bush coming in for the first place finish.
And Marcelo Bush is finished with a time of 1:43. Jacob Bonnert looking to bring up second.
Coming in for second place is Jacob Bonner from Iowa Lakes.
Jacob Bonnert, 155. Ben Hare, 156. Cole Keenan around 157. Then Tony Kudrin and Baxter bringing up the final two places. Event 7 will be the women's 50-yard freestyle.
Event 7, women's 50-yard freestyle. In lane 3, we have Julian Villa from Iowa Lakes. In lane 4, we have Mary Marshall from Iowa Central. In lane 5,
Lane 3, Juliana Villa Rodriguez. Lane 4, Mary Marshall of Iowa Central. Maggie Jackson of Iowa Lakes in lane 5. And in lane 6, Zoe Beals of Iowa Central. Juliana Villa Rodriguez is Iowa Lakes. And they are off. Lane 4 is Mary Marshall pulling a very, very small lead for Iowa Central. Followed very closely by Zoe Beals, also of Iowa Central, with Juliana Rodriguez bringing up third, and Maggie Jackson in the last place.
in first place from Iowa Central, we have Mary Marshall.
First place, Mary Marshall. Event number 8 is the men's 50-yard freestyle.
In lane 1, we have Ilias from Iowa Central. In lane 2, we have Eric Weezer. You know.
In lanes 1 and 2, we have two Iowa Central swimmers, Elias and Eric.
From South Africa, we have
Lane 3 from Iowa Lakes, Juan. Lane 4 from Iowa Central, Emil. Lane 5 for Iowa Lakes, Garrett O. John Gill III for Iowa Central in lane 6. Andrew Oberg for in lane 7. And Gerard Ilsberg from Iowa Central. All of the blocks are filled for this race. And they're off. For a 50-yard, we got a sprint going, so they're moving as fast as they possibly can. There is no need for stamina conservation in a 53.
Strong is Emil Lutzer.
Emil Lutzer of lane 4 looking to pull in the victory for Iowa Central. First place. Emil Lutzer in first.
22:03 from Emil Lutzer of South Africa and Iowa Central.
22:03. Event 9, the women's 200-yard IM. In lane 3, Paula Ronda for Iowa Central. Emil Anderson for Iowa Central. Emily Adrian, for Iowa Central in lane 4. Lane 5, Liz Crew Brown from Iowa Lakes. And in lane 6, Magley Luton of Iowa Central. Lane 4, Emily Andren pulling a small lead to begin with. Followed very, very closely from Iowa Central's Paula Ronda. In third place, Magali Mooten. And in fourth place, we have Liz Curry-Brown from Iowa Lakes.
After the 50 climb, Emily Adrian of France is out with the lead.
Paula Ronda pulled slightly ahead of Emily and Andren. The standings remain the same with Magali in third and Liz Curry-Brown in fourth. Backstroke is done, and they have moved on to breaststroke with Paula Ronda in the lead, followed by Emily Andren, Magali Mooten in third, and Liz Curry-Brown in fourth. Emily Andren looking to possibly pulling ahead into first place.
After placing third at nationals in the 100 breaststroke.
And the final lap of freestyle with Emily Andren in the lead, Paula Ronda in second, Magali Mooten in third, and Liz Curry-Brown in fourth. Paula Ronda and Emily Andren pulling very, very... Oh, Paula has pulled ahead for first place, followed by just barely by Emily Andren. Magali has finished her race. And Liz Curry-Brown is in the final stretch and finished. Event 10 will be the men's 200-yard IM. In lane 1, Drew Giles from Iowa Central. Billy Cruz Zuniga also from Iowa Central. Jared Van Stein, also of Iowa Central. Mariano Sosa of Iowa Central. Lane 5, Randy Vaughn of Iowa Lakes. Lane 6, Dalton Hamill of Iowa Central. And in lane 7, Cameron Keck, also of Iowa Central. All Iowa Central swimmers with the exception of lane 5's Randy Vaughn.
Dog needs to finish hard. In lane 7, from Iowa Central, we have Cameron Keck.
And they're off. Lane 2, Billy Cruz Zuniga of Iowa Central in first. Already pulling a decent-sized lead on the butterfly stroke.
Billy Cruz from Canada out with
Second place is looking to be lane 3's Jared Van Stein of Iowa Central.
third place, we have Mariano Sosa.
Third place, Mariana Sosa, also of Iowa Central. In fourth, lane 6, Dalton Hamill. Billy Cruz Zuniga is still in first. Oh, he has been passed up by lane 3's Jared Van Stein. Really goes to show that everybody's got a stronger stroke when it comes to one thing or another. That's one of the things that's so awesome about IMs, is that you get to see a little bit of everything. These are for people who are very multi-talented. Billy has still pulled a very strong lead. in the home run on the breaststroke, and he'll only have the freestyle left. Billy in first, Jared Van Stein in second, Mariano Sosa in third. Lane 1, Drew Giles in fourth. And the final 3 swimmers, Randy Vaughn, Dalton Hamill, and Cameron Keck, are all relatively close, though Dalton Hamill appears to be pulling ahead of the other two. Which would bring Randy Vaughn up next, and Cameron Keck in last with Iowa Central. And the men's 200-yard IM has reached its end. Next event will be the women's 100-yard butterfly with 2 swimmers, both from Iowa Central. In lanes 4 and 4 will be Mary Marshall, and in lane 5, Shannon Murphy. The pool has been open for a warm-up and cool-down. Bear with us for just a moment as we bring the broadcast back. We are back, and we have a cameraman on the floor for a special event coming up soon.
If I could have everyone's attention for a minute, please. We're going to do a little presentation. We had a pretty fun year last year, and you see I've got my beard here, and I grew it all year last year. I had a pretty bushy beard. And it was a bet with the kids that if we got our first national champion in the program's history, that I would shave it completely off. And I haven't been barefaced since 1997. So I had a really long beard at nationals, and then first night of the meet, 50 breaststroke, our South African Emil Lutzler got our first national championship. So yesterday, I got some pretty fancy jewelry in the mail, and he's able to get his national championship ring that he'll have for the rest of his life. And all you other sports up there, I really appreciate you coming out and supporting us. Go Tritons. Oh, I did shave it. It was gone.
I was gonna move over here.
We will be taking another brief breaking commentary as we wait for the camera to come back up here. And while the pool is open for warm-up and cool-down. So stick with us. We'll be back in just a few. The pool is now closed for warm-ups and cool-down, and so we will come back with event number 13, the women's 100-yard freestyle.
Living the dream, right?
I said 100. Don't argue with me. In lane 4, we have Mary Marshall from Iowa Central.
Oh,
We have Shannon Murphy of Iowa Central.
pardon me, the next event is event 11, the women's 100-yard butterfly. In lane 4, Mary Marshall, and in lane 5, Shannon Murphy, both of Iowa Central. They're off. Mary pulls a very, very small lead. Shannon has just barely pulled ahead of Mary Marshall. Shannon in the lead for the second and final lap. Shannon Murphy with a very small lead in the final lap. Shannon Murphy finishes at 103, and Mary Marshall right behind her.
This one over Mary Marshall. That's what she gets for back talking me.
Next event will be the men's 100-yard butterfly. In lane 2, Elias Serbest of Iowa Central. Lane 3, Val Trusso of Iowa Lakes. Lane 4, Billy Cruz-Zanega of Iowa Central. Lane 5, from Iowa Lakes, Juan Preseno. In lane 6, Iowa Central, Dalton Hamill.
In lane 4, we have Billy Cruz of Canada. In lane 5, we have Juan from Iowa Lakes. In lane 6, we have Dalton Hamill of Iowa Central.
They step up to the blocks and prepare. And they're off. Lane 4 is Billy Cruz pulling an early lead. And quite a significant one at that, followed shortly by Dalton Hamill in lane 6. At near tied for third, we have Val Trusov and Elias Serbest. Elias has pulled ahead slightly. Pulling up the rear would be Juan of Iowa Lakes in lane 5. Billy Cruz is looking to pull a victory by a landslide as he comes back towards the finish.
Coming in smooth is Billy Cruz.
And Billy Cruz is finished at a time of 49 seconds. Coming in second, Dalton Hamill.
Coming in second place, we have
And in third,
Dalton,
Elias Serbest.
Iowa Central. Third place,
Fourth, Val Trusov. And in fifth, Juan Preseno. Event number 13 will be the women's 100-yard freestyle. In lane 3, we have Maggie Jackson of Iowa Lakes. In lane 4, Majo Diaz of Iowa Central. Lane 5, Juliana Villa Rodriguez of Iowa Lakes. And Aubrey Hala in lane 6 from Iowa Central.
in lane 6 from Marshalltown, Iowa, we have Aubrey Hollow of Iowa Central. Lane 5 has been disqualified.
Lane 5, Juliana has been disqualified from Iowa Lakes.
Exit the pool. Mr. Starter.
And they are off with Majo Diaz of Iowa Central with a small lead over Juliana Rodriguez in lane 5. In third place, Aubrey Hala, and in fourth, Maggie Jackson.
Majo Diaz.
Majo Diaz pulling ahead by a slightly more significant margin. All swimmers are now on their final lap. Majo Diaz coming in on the final stretch of the pool with a more significant lead over Juliana Rodriguez, who is in second place. Third, Aubrey Hala. Fourth, Maggie Jackson. And Majo Diaz finishes at 55 seconds. Juliana Rodriguez in second. Aubrey Hala in the home stretch. Finishes at 1:11 for Iowa Central. And Maggie Jackson pulling up the rear with a time of 1:18. Event number 14 will be the men's 100-yard freestyle. In lane 2, Zach Strom of Iowa Central. Lane 3, Cole Keenan, also of Iowa Central. Gerard Ilspert. In lane 4 from Iowa Central. Jacob Bonnert in lane 5 from Iowa Lakes. Eric Weiser in lane 6 for Iowa Central. And Tony Cauldron in lane 7 for Iowa Central. Only one Iowa Lakes swimmer in this event, lane 5, Jacob Bonnert.
Lane 6, we have Big Weezy. You know, from Iowa Central. In lane 7, we have Tony from Iowa Central.
And so the race begins. A little too early for a more definitive lead, but it is looking like lanes 5, Jacob Bonnert from Iowa Lakes has the lead. Followed very, very closely by Gerard Ilspert of Iowa Central. Spear. I'm definitely saying that wrong. Eric Weiser pulling in third for Iowa Central.
How strong from Iowa Lakes is Jacob.
Gerard has pulled ahead.
In lane 4, we have Gerard. He is now taking over the lead. He's coming home.
Gerard finishes in first for Iowa Central. And our final swimmer, Zach Strom, has reached the end.
49.53 for Gerard.
Event number 15 will be the women's 100-yard backstroke with Zoe Beals of Iowa Central and Liz Curry-Brown for Iowa Lakes.
Please exit the pool.
Zoe Beals in lane 4 and Liz Curry-Brown in lane 5.
Event 15, women's 100-yard backstroke. In lane 4 from Marshalltown, Iowa, representing Iowa Central, is Zoe Bills. In lane 5 is Liz Brown-Crewy from Iowa Lakes.
Zoe Beals with a small lead ahead of Liz Curry-Brown. These, I would dare to say, are two very evenly matched swimmers. Zoe's lead growing slightly larger, but there is still another lap yet to be made, and it looks like Liz Curry-Brown is pulling in to make this a very, very even time.
Out with a slight lead from Iowa Central is Zoe Bills.
A very close race the whole time. It looks like Curry-Brown has pulled ahead so slightly. Liz Curry-Brown is widening the gap between the two. And that is a victory for Iowa Lakes in first place, with Zoe Beals pulling up a very, very close second.
Liz Brown. Please exit the pool.
Event 16 will be the men's 100-yard backstroke. In lane 2, Andrew Oberg for Iowa Central. In lane 3 for Iowa Lakes, Jesse Latin. Lane 4 for Iowa Central, Mariano Sosa. Lane 5 for Iowa Lakes, Randy Vaughn. Lane 6 for Iowa Central, Jared Van Stein. And for lane 7, also from Iowa Central, John Gill III.
From Iowa Central. In lane 5, we have Randy Vaughan of Iowa Lakes. In lane 6, we have TJ from Iowa Central. In lane 7, we have John Gill III.
And the race begins. So far in the lead, in lane 7, we have John Gill III for Iowa Central. In second place, lane 4, Mariano Sosa.
Followed by TJ.
Jared Van Stein in third.
TJ is looking strong on the second lap. Mariano Sosa is coming in strong.
Lane 4's Mariano Sosa is in first place.
In first place, we have
Lane 6,
Mariano
Jared Van Stein.
Sosa.
Third place, John Gill III. Fourth place, lane 2's Andrew Oberg. With Randy Vaughn and Jesse Latin taking up the final 2 places. The next event will be the women's 100-yard freestyle with Eve Berg in lane 4, Mavi Valentine in lane 5, and Paula Ronda in lane 6. Eve Berg and Paula Ronda will both be swimming for Iowa Central, with Mavi Valentine with Iowa Lakes.
Berg from Iowa Central.
Mad cheers to Eve Berg for doing a 500 after swimming 1,000.
In lane 6 from Spain, we have Paula Ronda. Lane 6.
And so the race begins. Pulling up the front, barely, we have Eve Berg with Paula Ronda in second and Mavi Valentine in third.
Berg is out to another lead after that tough finish in the 1,000 freestyle.
Eve is widening the margin of her lead. Paula Ronda still in second, Mavi Valentine in third. We are 2 minutes in, and the standings remain the same with Eve Berg in first, Paula Ronda in second, and Mavi Valentine in third.
No, Tammy. I try to get some cornerback, but I don't. I do.
4 minutes in, standings the same. Eve Berg still in the lead, pulling up a significant lead ahead of her teammate, and even further up ahead of Mavi Valentine in third for Iowa Lake. Iowa Lakes.
Well, me and Emily did it as a joke, and then we're like, we're gonna keep it up.
The horn has been sounded. Eve Berg is on her final lap, which means that Paula Ronda will also be on hers. Mavi Valentine has to finish this one, and I believe has one more. Yes.
Yo, 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 let's get loud for Eve Berg and Paula Ronda as they bring it home in the 500-yard freestyle.
Eve Berg finishes at 5:36, and Paula Ronda at 5:38. Mavi Valentine on her final lap. Mavi is in the home stretch, and she is finished at 6:12. Event number 18 will be the men's 500-yard freestyle. Lane 1, Baxter Molden of Iowa Central. Lane 2, Javier Ronda, also of Iowa Central. Lane 3, Ben Hare of Iowa Lakes. Marcella Bush in Lane 4 for Iowa Central. Patrick Voller of Iowa Lakes in Lane 5. Vinnie Malls in Lane 6 for Iowa Central, and also for Iowa Central, Andrew Iverson, Lane 7.
We have Ben 10 from Iowa Lakes. In lane 4, we have Marcelo Bush, coming from Brazil, representing Iowa Central. In lane 5, we have Patrick Baller of Iowa Lakes. In lane 6, we have Vinnie Malls of
The whistle has blown and they've stepped up to the blocks. Lane 4's Marcella Bush looking to pull an early lead, followed in second place by Lane 6's Vinnie Moles. In third place, Patrick Voller for Iowa Lakes, and in fourth, Andrew Iverson for Iowa Central in lane 7. Oh, I stand corrected. Lane number 3's Ben Hare for Iowa Lakes. Marcelo Bush and Vinnie Moles very close for first. Marcelo just slightly ahead. Patrick Voller still rounding out third with Andrew Iverson in fourth. Javier Ronda and Baxter Molden pulling up final place. Javier Ronda and Ben Hare slightly ahead of that. Marcelo Bush and Vinnie Moles have pulled significantly ahead of the rest of the swimmers. Behind them, Andrew Iverson, Javier Ronda, Ben Hare, Patrick Voller, and Baxter Molden. Marcelo Bush has pulled quite a little bit ahead of Vinnie Moles for a very wide margin between first and second place. Marcelo Bush and Vinnie Moles still in the lead, though Marcelo has widened this gap even further. It's not all about stamina in a 500. Gotta have some speed in there too, and he has definitely learned the perfect balance. Horn has sounded for Marcelo Bush, who is entering his final lap in the 500 freestyle.
Let's get loud for Marcelo Bush as he takes it home in the 500-yard freestyle.
Vinnie Moles also on his final lap. And Marcelo Bush is pulling it to a finish with a time of 4:44. Amazing. Vinny Malls bringing up second place. Finishing time 4:57. In lane number 2, Javier Ronda has finished with a time of 5:07.
Someone get Javier left guard.
And all these swimmers have finished, concluding the men's 500 freestyle. Event number 19 will be the women's 100-yard backstroke. There will be a 10-minute break, though, where the pool will be open. Stick with us for the next 10 minutes, and we will be right back. And we're back with event number 19, the women's 100-yard breaststroke. All three swimmers are from Iowa Central, with Magali Mooten, Emily Andren, and Shannon P. Murphy.
Emily Adrian. In lane 5 is Shannon Murphy, representing Iowa Central.
Paula Ronda pulling a lead in the beginning. Shannon Murphy. Magali in second, with Emily Andren in third. First lap done, one more to go. Shannon Murphy still in the lead. Emily Andren in second, Magali Mooten in third.
Second place, Emily Adrian. In third place, we have Magali.
Shannon Murphy looking like she is going to take this race. They have entered the home stretch. Emily Andren has actually taken first place with the final stretch, with Shannon P. Murphy coming in just barely behind her and Magali Mooten in third. Very close race. The next event will be the men's 100-yard breaststroke.
Men 20, men's 100-yard breaststroke.
Lane 3, Zach Strom.
Zach Strom of
Lane 4, Baxter Molden. And lane 5, Andrew Oberg, all of Iowa Central.
And in lane 5, we have Andrew Oberg, the outside smoke. Here we go.
Baxter Molden has taken the lead, followed shortly by Andrew Oberg, with Zach Strom in third. Baxter and Andrew looking nearly tied for first place, with Baxter pulling ahead ever so slightly ahead of Andrew. First lap done, second has begun. Baxter still slightly ahead of Andrew, with Zach Strom in third place.
We have a close one between Andrew Oberg and
Very close, could be anyone's race at this point in time, but Baxter looks like Baxter is ever so slightly ahead. Andrew is pulled ahead now. Andrew is widening the gap between himself and Baxter. Andrew finishes at 1:08, Baxter Molden in second, and Zach Strom bringing it in third place at 1:14. The next event will be timed finals for the men's 100-yard backstroke. Lane 2 will be Andrew Iverson of Iowa Central, Juan Brazeno in lane 3 for Iowa Lakes, lane 4, Emil Lutzeller of Iowa Central, lane 5, Val Trusov of Iowa Lakes, Drew T. Giles in lane 6 for Iowa Central, and Cameron Keck also for Iowa Central in lane 7. It is worth noting that Emil Lutzer is in fact a national champion in this event.
in lane 6, we have Drew Giles of Iowa Central. In lane 7, we have Cameron Keck of Iowa Central.
The whistle has blown and they step up to the blocks. Emil Lutzeller pulling an early lead, slightly ahead of Drew Giles, with Cameron Keck in third. In fourth place, we have Andrew Iverson, followed very, very closely by Val Trusov, and in last, we have Juan Brazeno for Iowa Lakes. Emil and Drew are still very close, with Emil leading slightly. They're on their way back for the final lap. Very, very close. Emil pulls in the lead just by a hair. Emil Lutzeller in first, with Drew Giles in second. Third place, Cameron Keck. Fourth place, Val Trusov. Or perhaps Andrew Iverson. Our next event will be the women's 200-yard freestyle relay. We have two teams, one for Iowa Central, and in lane 5 will be Iowa Lakes Community College. For Iowa Central, we have Eve Berg, Paula Ronda, Magali Mooten, and Shannon Murphy. For Iowa Lakes, Juliana Villa-Rodriguez, Mavi Valentine, Liz Curry-Brown, and Maggie Jackson. The race begins with Eve Berg and Juliana. Very, very close so far. So it looks like Juliana may have a very, very small lead over Eve Berg. Nope, Eve Berg has taken the lead. Very, very close. It'll be up to their teammates to decide the end of this race. Paula Ronda enters the water just slightly after Mavi Valentine. But she has taken the lead. Gotta widen that gap to make this easier on their teammates. Paula bringing it in for Magali Mooten. And Liz Crewy-Brown has jumped off. Iowa Central's team has a significant lead over Iowa Lakes. Shannon Murphy is last off for Iowa Central, and Maggie Jackson for Iowa Lakes. Shannon Murphy pulls a pretty significant lead ahead of Maggie Jackson. It appears that Shannon Murphy will be bringing the finish for the Tritons with a time of 1:48. Maggie Jackson in the home stretch and finishing with a final time of approximately 1:57. The final event of the night will be the men's 200-yard freestyle relay. We have three teams, two from Iowa Central and one from Iowa Lakes. In lane 4 for Iowa Central, we have Billy Cruz, Emil Lutzeller, John Gill III, and Marcella Bush. In lane 5, Jacob Bonnert, Randy Vaughn, Ben Hare, and Garrett Nielsen. And for Iowa Central in lane 6, Cole Keenan, Ilya Serbest, Eric Weiser, and Vinnie Malls. The race begins with Billy Cruz taking an early lead for Iowa Central. Behind him, Bonnert Jacob of Iowa Lakes, and Cole Keenan bringing up the rear for Iowa Central. Billy Cruz has a pretty significant gap, but between Jacob Bonnert and Cole Keenan, it's a little bit smaller. So there is still definitely a lead for Iowa Lakes between the two runner-ups. Emil Lutzeller is off, Randy Vaughn in the water, and Ilya Serbest in lane 6. John Gill III for lane 4 is in. Off goes Iowa Lakes' Ben Hare, and Eric Weiser for Iowa Central. It appears that the gap between Iowa Lakes and Iowa Central's Ben Hare and Eric Weiser is closing. If Eric Weiser can just get ahead, I bet that Vinnie Malls can pull in this race for the final. Marcella Bush has entered the water as the final person for lane number 4. And the last 2 swimmers for Iowa Central and Iowa Lakes, Garrett Nielsen and Vinnie Malls, have entered the water. It is a very, very close race between Vinnie and Garrett. Marcella Bush is looking to finish in first place, and Vinnie Malls has pulled ahead of Garrett Nielsen. Marcella Bush finishes at 128. Vinnie Malls bringing in second place for Iowa Central, and Garrett Nielsen finishing in third for Iowa Lakes. Very, very close.
What a finish. Thank you for coming out and supporting our program tonight. Everyone have a good night.
This concludes the swim meet for Iowa Central versus Iowa Lakes. Thank you for tuning in.